All right, welcome back. So in this video, we're going to talk about how to add list items. So to insert a new list item without replacing any of the existing values, we can use the insert method. The insert method inserts an item at the specified index. To extend the list, we need to append elements from another list to the current list. Use the extend method. So add any interval. The extend method does not have to append lists. You can add any interval object, tuples, sets, dictionaries, etc. All right, so with that, let's jump into our notebook and take a look at this. All right, so we're inside the notebook here, and we are down at lists, right? So let's jump into lists, and let's add on to what we've been talking about here. So we're going to talk about how to add list items. So in the previous videos, we talked about how to change list items, access list items, and then we just talked about what lists were. And that's what all this other information is here, which you already know. All right, so now let's dive in and let's talk about how to add list items. So let's comment this out first. So we'll do hashtag and we'll do add list items. And then we'll return and we'll start using the append method first. Okay, so to add an item to the end of a list, use the append method. So that's what we're going to use first, is the append method. So what I want to do is we're going to use the information we used from the previous video, our list equals, and let's use Google. Let's do Google, Facebook, and YouTube. And then we're going to add to that okay, so let's put YouTube in here. And then after that, I'm going to put down here, and instead of our, it's going to be our list. Okay, and then down here, we're going to do our list dot append, and I'm going to add Twitter. Okay, and then we're going to print our list. Okay, now when I run that, what's going to happen? It's going to add Twitter to the end of the list. Okay, so this is a really easy way to add an item to the end of your list, okay, without having to go back and write more code. Because what you don't want to do is you do not want to repeat yourself. You want to add or subtract from what you're writing in your programming, okay? Now to insert items, we're going to use the insert method. So the insert method inserts an item at the specified index, okay? So if I do the same thing, we're going to do our list equals, and let's do Google again, Facebook, and YouTube. Okay. And then I do our list dot insert, and we do 1 comma Twitter. Where's that going to show up? Well, let's take a look. So now, because this is indexed at 0, 1, 2, 3, for this example, because we only have 4 items, but it goes, so Google is 0, Twitter is 1, Facebook is 2, and YouTube is 3. That's how they index it. And so if I were to type in 3, guess what? It would be YouTube. Okay? And it would be after YouTube. If I were to do 0, it would be first. So it'd be Twitter, Google, Facebook, YouTube. Okay? And if you wanted somewhere in the middle, well, then you'd do 0, 1. So we would do 2 would be kind of in the middle. So let's do 2. 2 would be after Facebook. So actually 1 would be the middle based on the fact that we only have 4. We need 5 really to have a middle, but you get the idea. The idea of it is this is how you insert a list item, okay, into your lists. To extend the list, to append elements from another list to the current list, use the extend method. So what this is going to do is this is going to give you the ability to do this. So we're going to call this our list equals, and we'll do Google, Facebook, and YouTube, okay? And then when I go down here and I have my list, okay, equals, and we do Windows, Linux, Mac OS. Okay, then I do our list.extend, and we just add my list in there, and guess what happens? It will add that to it. So print my our list. I'll run that, and what do we get? We get all of them now, and it just adds it to the end. So whatever the order is, you have Windows, Linux, Mac OS, and it runs it, right? So there you go. So that's a way where you can extend the lists. And I really consider that blending the lists or adding the lists to one another, you know, making one giant list instead of sub-lists in this example. But what it's doing again is extending the list. So you can grab any list that you have and you can bundle them together for this, okay? So it's a beautiful thing. Add any interval. So the extend method does not have to append lists. You can add an interval object, so tuples, sets, dictionaries, etc. So we can add other interval objects to our list. So we could do, again, we could do tuples, we could do sets, we could do dictionaries, all sorts of different variations of the data types that we were talking about. You can use all those different variations, okay? So an example of that would be if we went in here and we have our list, right? Okay, so I go in here, I do our list. It equals the same thing. So we got Google, Facebook, and YouTube, okay? And then we do a tuple, right? So that's our list, and then we do our tuple, okay? Equals, and we do Apple, Microsoft, okay? And then we do our list dot extend our tuple, okay? Then when we print this, so I print our list, okay? Now it should combine them together, which it does. Google, Facebook, YouTube, Apple, Microsoft. So what you can do is you can work with different data types or iterable objects, and you can combine those different iterable objects together. So even if it's in a different area of your code, you can grab it, bring it in here, and then use that data for whatever you need. That's the idea behind it. It gives you a ton of flexibility to be able to work with a lot of different things, so you can make very dynamic programs and have a lot of fun with it. And again, this is a lot of fun because specifically Python is an extremely easy language to understand. It's really written for people to understand it on a basic level. It's extremely easy. So I applaud them for making it so easy. Again, I know I keep saying that, but the reason why I say that is because when I was learning programming, before I learned Python, I was using JavaScript, and I wanted to pull my hair out, literally. And now when I'm using this, and I've been using this for a long time now, but it all makes sense. You know, when you go back and look at what you learned in JavaScript and then you look at this, you're like, wait a minute, okay. So anyway, I hope that this helps. for lists. So this is how you add list items. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.